Hello everyone, it's Latif here again and welcome to Code with Laticotech. In this video we're going to lesson 2 and we're going to look at Python operators. Okay, we're going to look at Python operators. Now, what are operators? That's all. The question is, we're going to look at it very soon. Then we look at the types of operators. We have the arithmetic operators, we have the assignment operators, we have the comparison operators or relational operators, then we have the logical operators, we have bitwise operators, identity operators, and then we have the membership operators. All these operators are under the Python operators. We're going to look at them very soon. So let's quickly look at what operators are. Operators in Python are used to perform operations on variables, strings, and values. Okay, they are not only used for one aspect but used in general in variables. They are also used in strings and they are used in values. They are special symbols or combination of symbols. You can combine some of them, or keywords. Okay, you can get some keywords that you put together and then you perform operations that designate some type of computation. Okay, right, let's go on. Now the first one we're going to look at the arithmetic operators. Just like the name indicates, mathematical operators. Arithmetic operators are used with numeric values to perform common mathematical operations. They can sometimes be used on strings to perform concatenations. We'll be doing concatenation when we get to the lesson on strings, but basically concatenations is about joining two words, phrases, or sentences together using the operators. All right, moving on. Now, these are the arithmetic operators. The common ones is the plus, the subtraction or the addition, the subtraction, the multiplication, and the division. There are other complex ones like the floor division, modulus, and exponentiation, as well as power of a number and then mass.power. We'll be looking at them very soon. But basically, I want us to focus on the first four, and then we come to the complex ones. Now, the addition operator, it's the subtraction or the multiplication or the division. They can be done using two variables. The variables are simply memory locations that you store some numbers there, and you can recall them whenever you need them to perform some function. We'll be looking at variables too in the next lesson. Now you can have it as num1 plus num2, or you can take num1 and add it to a different number. Similarly, you can do that to subtraction between two variables or adding two variables. Same thing can be done on multiplication, division, floor division, and the rest. So let's quickly look at that in our code editor. Now we'll be doing the coding on the first four, then we now come to the complex ones. Now I'm going to show you how to do that using the code editor. I use PyCharm. If you don't know how to install PyCharm, you can refer to my previous video on how to install PyCharm and Python on your computer. Alright, so let's go on to open it. So I have PyCharm here. So now when you click on PyCharm to open it, there are some options on the first interface. It will ask you if you want to open an existing project or you want to create a new project. So in our case, we are creating a new project, so we click on new project. Now this is where you name your project, okay, and your project will be stored somewhere, and this is the location to be stored in PyCharm project. So here you can change the name of the Python project. That is the only part you need to change. So I can call it Python operators. Python operators. Then I'll click on create. So what happens is whenever you are creating a new project and you give the command to start creating the project, PyCharm loads some files within to help you complete your project. And one thing to note is that PyCharm creates a default file called main.py. Now this main.py, it has a default code on it. It helps you to run your the first start to run and then to see how your the application works. So to run in Python, in PyCharm, if you want to run the code, you can press the click on the run and select run and then run. Then it will run the code down here for you. So it says hi PyCharm, and that is here, print hi PyCharm. So it has run that code for us. But this is not what we are here for. We are here for arithmetic operators. So let's get to that one. Now before we start that, I have to show you something. When you are coding and you feel like your text are a little bit smaller and you want to see it clearer, what you can do is that you can go and click on File, then you move on to Settings, and then you click on Editor. Then under Editor, you can see General. You click on General. Then look here to your right hand side. You see Change Font Size with Control plus mouse wheel. So you check this one. When you check that one, anytime you want to increase the font of your code so you can see clearer, you press the Control key and you scroll the wheel on the mouse, and that way to help you see the code clearer. Alright, so let's get started. Now we are going to be creating different files for arithmetic, okay, and then the other operators. So I'll right click on this one to create a new file. Right click, go to new, then you move to Python file. Now here, this is where you name the first file you want to. Since we are creating arithmetic operators, I will name this file as arithmetic operators. Remember, this creating a file is different from creating a project. The whole project is here Python operators, but under that we are going to be creating some files so that we do different codes under those ones. So when you name it, you press enter, and this is our view for the arithmetic operators file. So it ends with a .py, which is Python. Now Python has what we call a flow of what do you call it? A flow control. Okay, that's a flow of control. In other words, is how it runs the code. It runs them step by step. It runs the first code that you have, then it moves to the next one. So it goes line by line to check the codes and then run them. Now before we do this, we need to know something also. In Python, if you want to always get a good coding style so that anytime you visit your code, it will help you recall what the code stands for. And to do that, you need to put what we call comment. Now to put a comment, you have to prefix your comment with the hashtag sign. Okay, you do that, and then you now put your comment. So what I'm going to type here is, I'm going to type addition operators. So we are going to do that of the addition. Okay, now to do this, let's start with addition operators between variables. Let's do it that way. So we're going to add two variables, then we come and add what we call a number to another number. Okay, yeah. So you can declare a variable. Like I said, we'll be doing this. So I'm calling this variable as num1, mean first number, and then you assign, which is the equal sign we have there, and you give it a figure. So I'll call it 45. Then num2, then I'll assign it to another number, maybe what do you call it? Let me make it 10. Then I want to declare another variable which will do the operation for me. So I can call it result. Now result is saying that I can add this one, num1 to num2. So I've created memory locations. This memory location is holding 45, this one is holding 10, and this one is doing the operation for me. It is holding these two variables as well as the operator here. Then I want to see the result, so I print. This is the keyword we use when we are printing, and then you open a bracket. Now you can just go and put this one inside so that it would show you what the operation is. So we can just type here result, okay, and then we run it. Now to run a file, I told you when you start your project, it creates a main.py. So when you just go and run it, it is going to run the main.py, not the arithmetic operators. So to do this, so that we will determine which one we want to run, we click on run, then you move down here again, there is another run, you click on it. So here it gives you the options to pick what you want to run. So we are running arithmetic operators, you click on it, then it says the result is 55. Now another way to make your results match interactive, you can add what we call strings. Strings are basically messages. For instance, if you're in a classroom and the teacher asks you what is 1 plus 1 or 2 plus 3, or what is the result of 2 plus 3, so you can respond by saying the result of 2 plus 3 is, then you give the answer. So strings are just like that. So I can, but you have to quote it. So I quote the result, or I can call it the addition of the two variables is, let me quote here, put it. So this is the structure of it. Just putting this one here, it's not necessary. You can just put it there just to show the difference between this and that one, and you put a comma to separate the string from the variable here. This result is what we've typed here. So let's run it again and see. So it says the addition of the two variables is, then you see it over there. So this is how we run it. Now let's move on and do the addition operators, or addition operator between a variable and a number. So between a variable and a number. So let's declare a new variable. I can call it new number and then give it maybe 500, and then I get something, let me call this one total equal. I'm going to add a new number. I'm going to add a number to this new number called a new variable called new number. So I can just put my plus sign and put any number there. So let me say 50. Now I print, and let's give the message, the addition of a number and a variable is, so I put my comma, and this time I'm quoting total because that is the variable declared to do that operation here for me. So when you are printing the one that does the operation for you. So let's, instead of going back to rerun, click here and do run, you just can click on this play button to run it again. So the first one says the addition of two variables is 55. Now the addition of a number and a variable is 550. So you can see it that way. Okay, you can also just run a basic simple code of addition of two numbers. Okay, you can just do that. So you just type print 45 plus 90. Okay, you can just run it that way. Let's run this and you see. So the first one is this, the second is this, and this one, that's the last one. So you can run addition of two variables, addition of a variable and a number, an integer or a float or decimal, or you can just do addition of two numbers totally. So this is how you can do that one. All right, so we are going to look at subtraction. Now I'm just going to so let me just zoom this one, so if you want to look at the code very clearly. So this is how to run it. Just give me some few seconds to look at it. Right, so I hope this is okay. So let's go back and then look at subtraction. Now basically it's the same thing that you run. It's not something difficult. So you declare a variable. So if I come here, let me change this to subtraction. Okay, so when I come here, the same numbers are here. The only thing I need is to put the sign there to subtract. So this message will not be the difference of the two variables. And when I come here again, I change that. Let me change here to subtraction. We just editing our old code, difference So you see, and you change it to the subtraction sign. This is all that you need to do. So this is the subtraction between two variables, subtraction between a variable and a number, and then subtraction between two numbers. So let's run this one again. So I can't see my play button here, but you can see it up here. You can click on it to run. So here we have the difference between the two numbers, the two variables, and we have this, and then we have this, and that will be 45 minus 90. Right, so I hope that is so simple. We can just even do that to the other ones too, to the division and the multiplication. So simple. So I'm just going to do the same edit it again, and then we do that of the multiplication. So we are doing multiplication operator. So we just change here with the asterisk sign. So multiplication, we use this. So we can just say the product of the two variables. Then when we come here again, that is multiplication. Right, so I don't want this number to be too big, so let me just here, let me just change this number to 2. It's okay for me. Alright, so the product, and the same thing, you can put your asterisk sign here. So the star sign in programming is for multiplication. So let's rerun this one again and look at it. So the product is 450, the product of the number and the variable is 1000, and then the product here is 45 times 90 is 40 50. Right, all right, we're moving on. Let's go on to division. Right, so here we what do you call it, replace this with the slash. Okay, so the division of the two numbers, the same thing, we change the slash. Here is division, and then the message here is division. So instead of addition, we do division. All right, so let's run it again. There we go. So this one, the first one is 45 divided by 10, that's 4.5, and this one is 500 divided by 2, that's 250. And then when we come here, 45, we didn't change the sign here, dividing 90. So let's run it again, and that should give us 0.5. all right, so if you have any comment, just drop it down below, and then I will respond to you soon. All right, so let's go back and see what we have. So we're now going to the complex operators. Okay, now we will start with the floor division. We're going to start with the floor division. Now, what is the floor division? The floor division in Python, the floor division returns a quotient of the division rounded down to the nearest integer. For example, if I divide 7 by 3, it will give you 1.75. And using the floor division, the result would be 1, because no matter what comes after the decimal point, we would always round it down. So in floor division, we are looking for the quotient. So 3 can go into what do you call it? Sorry, if we divide 7 by 3, it should be 2.75. It should be 2.75, not 1.75. So it will give us 2 here. So when we do the code, you'll see. So pardon me for that. So it's supposed to be 2 point, right? No, sorry, it's okay, it's correct. 1.75. That is if you are dividing 7 by 3, right? That should give us that answer. Okay, so let's take a look at that in the code editor. So yeah, let's look at that in the code editor. But 7 divided by 3 should be 2.33. So we'll quickly look at that one. Let me quickly edit my note. So it will be 2.33. So in this case, it's going to give us 2, right? So that is it. So that is what we have there. Moving on, so we are on floor division. So it will give me 2.33. So let's do that and see. All right. So let's create a new file and let's call it complex arithmetic operators. So I'm no more going to use arithmetic operators. I'm going to deal with the complex arithmetic operators. So let's zoom this a bit. Right, so modulus. So let's comment. This is floor division. So you can do that between two variables and between two numbers. So I'm just going to focus on two variables. So let me declare first num1 equals 7. So we're just going to use that. Then num2 equal 3. Now I'll call this floor equal num1. Floor division, you use the double slash, okay. Num2, I'll print floor. Take note of the variables that we use. We use a name that doesn't exist, that is not part of the Python library or keywords. Okay, so we have these two numbers declared, and then when we take num1 and then floor division of num2, what are we going to get? So let's run that and see. So it's going to give us 0.5. So right now as I've run this thing, it is giving me arithmetic operators. Remember I told you when you are running a new file, you need to click on run, then run again, then you now determine what you want to run. We want to run complex, so it gives me the 2 like I told you. So it's rather giving me the quotient but not the remainder. Okay, let's change these values again. Let's make it 9 and then we leave this one as 5. So let's run it and see. So that gives us 1 because 5 can go into 9 only once. Okay, and then we forget the remainder. So anytime you want to design a program that will give you the quotient and then leave the remainder, you can use this thing. Sometimes we use them for conditions. Okay, we use them for conditions. For instance, if I want to get even numbers, I can say that if num1 divides num2 and the result is 0, it means that there is no remainder. Are you getting it? So this can be used in a different way. We will get to that one when we get to mathematical calculations there. Okay, so this is how to use the floor division. Let's look at the other one. We can do the floor division with a different number. So you can declare a variable, maybe new number, and you can call it 45.5, and then you can say floor. Let me just keep calling this as floor. I'll call it floor 1 equals new number, floor division, let's make it 3, and then we'll print floor 1. So let's run that again. So this gives us 1, this gives us 15. So 45.5 dividing 3, it will give you 15, and there's a remainder. So usually we forget the remainder. Is that okay? So we forgot the remainder. So this is what we have. Now you might see a 0.5 here is because this is a float number. That is why you are seeing it that way. All right, moving on. Let's go and try that of the modulus. Another one called modulus. Unlike the floor division in Python, the modulus operator returns the remainder. So this is just the opposite of the floor division. The floor division rather brings you the quotient. The modulus operator brings you the remainder, okay, of the left operand by the right operand. Okay, so it gives you that of the left operand on the right one. So if we take, for instance, 13 modulo 5, it will return 3 because 13 divided by 5 gives us 2 with a remainder of 3. So it is the remainder that we are looking at. Okay, it is the remainder that we are looking at. So let's take a look at that one and see. All right, so we're on modulus. All right, so we're going to do that. Back to our, so here we're going to modulus. So when we get to this place, instead of this double, we just put the percent, and same thing, percent. Okay, so we can call this mod. So this can be mod 1, and we are printing mod 1, and we are printing mod here. So this is how you do the modulus division. You use a percent sign between them. So this one, when we divide it by the 5, it will give us the remainder. And the same thing, that if we run the new number, which is 45.5 by 3, it will give us the remainder. So let's run that up again and see. So this is the remainder, which is 4, and the remainder of the other one is 0.5. So this is how to run the modulus division. Quite simple as that, right? So like I said, you can apply this thing in your projects. Okay, so here you can also use something like, if the new number divides by 3 and it gives you 0, it means that number is an even number. Okay, however, if there is if it is more than 0, it means that it is an odd number. So we can do this thing when we want. So you think of this project as we are moving on, right? So let's go on and see what we have next. So we have the exponentiation to cover up. The exponentiation operator, which is the double asterisk, returns the result of raising the first operand to the power of the second operand. It is equivalent to the max power of numbers. We'll come to the max.power. So let's try some code on the exponentiation. All right. So moving back, so let me clear this one and then come to exponentiation. Now with this one, what you have to do is that the exponentiation is in a form of so let me just do the code here. It is in a form of, you can declare two variables too. You can declare two variables and then you can do the exponentiation on them. Okay, for instance, let's see this. If I say num1 equals 2, num2 equal 3, and now I want to do that. Let me just put here results, or yes, result is okay. I can put num1 and put my exponentiation sign, which is a double asterisk, then num2, then print results. This means here, this means num1 raised to the power num2, and num1 is 2, whereas num2 is 3. So 2 to the power 3 will give us 8. Let's run this and see. That you go. You can see it over there. So this is a way of running the exponentiation. Okay. You can also do it. Declare. You can also print. You can do it with another number outside. So I can just say num2, or let's print it. Print in the bracket num2 exponentiation and a different number 6. Okay, then let's run it and see. So this gives us 8 and this gives us 729. Right, now moving on. So I believe this is clear, as you can see the code there. Right, now let's move on to the other one, and there's one that we call the power function. Okay, power function. Let's see what it is. The power function. Python has a built-in function that is useful for calculating power. Now the power function accepts two parameters. Okay, in other words, let's just say the parameters are like variables. They accept two parameters which are a base and an exponent. So one of the parameter will be a base and one of the parameter will be an exponent. So let's look at the syntax here. This is how it is. You type pool and you declare the two parameters, more like variables. So m will now be the base and n will be the power. So here m is the base and n is the exponent. So let's try some code and see how it works. So if I have and it's quite simple if you want to do this one. Let's just say m equal 3, n equal 5. Okay, then we now put declare another what you call a variable. I can just call it p equal pool, then I open. This is how the pool is. Now inside the pool I put my parameters. My parameters are m and then n. Then I print my p. My p is the variable. Remember, variable can just be a letter. It can just be a letter. If you are declared a variable, it can be a letter. Just make sure that it doesn't start with a number. So we have this way. So when I run this, so it is 3 to the power of 5. Okay, let's take you can change this number. Let's make it 4 and make this one 2. So we are doing 4 to the power 2 and that will be 16, as you can see it there. So these two parameters here, they are like variables. They go and they refer to these numbers declared here. So this is how the pool function works. Is that okay? All right. So let's quickly move on to another one, which is the maths.poll. They are similar. However, with the maths.poll, so the maths.poll gives you your answer in a decimal format, in a float format. So it's just the same thing. The maths.flow function allows you to solve exponents in the same manner as the poll function. The main difference between them is that the maths.poll function converts both variable into the floating point and always returns a float. So it returns your result in the form of a float. Now, there's one thing you need to know. If you are using the maths.flow, maths is a library that contains formulas of maths. So when you are using maths.flow, let me just write this one here, maths.poll. So if you are using maths.poll, not flow, you need to import the maths so that it will come into the system before you can use it. It's like you are borrowing something, a feature of it, into your code. So it's a library, an inbuilt library in Python. So and it also goes the same way. So if I declare two variables, before you declare the variable, you have to type import maths. So you are importing the maths. So the maths is imported into it. Then let's continue with the code. So let's declare our first variable. Can use xy. X equals to 3. Y equals 4. Then I will now put my other variable to do the operation. So I can just say maths dot pool open bracket x y. Take notes here. Let me take this code off. When you do that, you see that the import, it is what you call it, faint. It's because we've not used the math to do anything. But when we do that, when we bring it back, it realizes that we are now using it, then it becomes a scalar. Okay, so we print our p. So let's run this and see, and that will give us 81. Now remember, it gives you the result in the form of a decimal, so that is why you have it this way. Okay, so to see the difference, you realize that the maths.poll, it gives you your result in the form of a decimal point something, but with that of the poll function. It just gives you a straight integer, not a variable. Alright, so that is how to run the math.poll. Alright, moving on, let's see what we have next. Now we are going to look at the assignment operators. The assignment operators. Okay, assignment operators. So now with the assignment operators, these operators are used to assign values to variables. We just did some of them here, especially the first one. We'll be assigning a number to the other one. Now we have a different one here, which is the plus equal. This plus equal means that we are increasing the value of the number, the variable which is called num, by 5. And here we are decreasing the value of the variable called num by 5. Here we're also multiplying the value of num, or that's it, multiples of it by 5. Here floor division and the rest, we can apply the same thing. So let's go to our portal and do that. So we are going to create a new file. Right click here, go to new and select this one. So we are going to do assignment operators. Right, so we are going to use, let me put a comment here. First we are going to look at, we already looked at the assignment. We did the assignment operator where we said num1 equals to that, num2 equals to that. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at how to increase a value by another number. Okay, so let me increase the font. Okay, this should be okay. So increasing value by let me just by another number, or increasing variable by another number. So let's call this variable num1, and we call it, give it a value of 6. Okay, now to increase this one, there are two ways of doing it. I can say num1 plus equal, I'm increasing it by 5. Now let's print num1. Now Python comes to this line and reads num1 to be 6. Then Python comes to this line and reads num1. So Python is not going to print this one, this num1 is printing this num1. Then Python comes to this line and realize that num1 is going to have an addition of a 5. Okay, so we are running a new file right now, the assignment. So I will do run and run again. So I'm dealing with assignment operators. So it is 11, meaning we are adding 5 to 6. Okay, now another way of doing it, okay, another way of doing it is this. You can, let me change the new variables. Let me call this x equal 5, y equal so x equal x plus maybe let's say 10. This is another way of running it. So you can put the plus here, so it will be plus equal, or you can put your equal and bring your variable and add that variable. So it means you are adding this one here to 10. So let's print x. So let's run that. So run it. So the first one is giving us 11, which we already have it there, and the second one is giving us 15, which means that we're adding 10 to that one. Alright, so this is how to increase a variable by another number. So you can declare it previously, and then you'll be calling it to be increased by different numbers. You can increase it by another variable. For instance, if I have this one here, I have x equal 10. Let me use different numbers, different variables. Let me call m equals 10, n equal what do you call it, 20. Then now m equal, I can say m plus n. Print m. Look at the difference here. In this instance, I'm just adding the variable x, which is already declared as 5, to a 10. But in this case, I am adding the variable m, which is 10 here, to another variable, which is n. So when I print this, I have it as 30. So it is what? 10 plus 20. So this is how you increase the variable. So let's look at decreasing. So decreasing will now be minus. So I'm just subtracting, putting minus sign here. It's the same thing that you're going to do. So we just do subtraction, and we do subtraction here. Let me just change the values to make this one 15. I want to see a positive result. Let me just make this one to be 30. All right, so you are decreasing. So in this case, it becomes a plus minus. I mean a minus equal. The other one was a plus equal. So now we are doing it a minus equal. And similarly, we have it there. This one was declared as 15. Now we are decreasing that 15 by a 10. And this place, the 2 were declared, and we are decreasing this by this. And this is assigned to a number. So let's run it again. So you can see the first one has given a 6 minus 5, which is 1, and the second one is 50 minus 10, which is 5, and the other one is 30 minus 20, which is 10. So this is how to decrease and then increase. Now let's go on and look at multiples of that. Multiples of variable by another number or by another variable. Okay, or by variable. So we have 6 here declared. We can put the asterisk sign here. It means we are going to get a multiple of 6 5 times. Then when we come here, we put the asterisk. Same way, 15 10 times, and the same thing here. It means we are going to get the multiple of 30 20 times. So let's run this one. There we go. We have it 30, 150, 600, and that is the multiples. Right. Quickly, division. So you will just have to change it with a slash. This one to the slash, and this one but with a slash. In other words, you have num6 to be 6 here. Let me just make this one 2. I want to get a good number here. So, and I want num2, which is 6, to be divided by 2. It should be, I want to get a division of it by 2. So let's run this one. 3.0, and then 15, which is x here, is dividing 10. That will be 1.5. And 30 here, which is m, and then 20, which is n. We are dividing the m by the n, and that will give us our new m. And that is this one. Same thing can be done with the floor division. So you just put it double, you double it this way, and let's run that. So we are getting the quotient. We are getting the quotients, right? So 2 into 6 is 3 times. That is all. 10 into 15 is once. And there's a remainder we're not looking at. So let's look at the modulus aspect of it. So the modulus, we are using the percent sign to represent that one. As you can see here, this is it. So we run it, and now we're getting the remainders here. Remember, the first one, there's no remainder. 6 divided by 2, there's no remainder, so we have 0 there. So this is how to run the what you call assignment operators. Right, let's quickly look at our note and see what we have next. We have the comparison or relational operators. Now these ones are to determine, comparison operators are used to compare two values or two variables and return a logical value which is either true or false. So in other words, if you want to test if it is true, this action should work. If it is false, this action should work. So these are the comparison. this is the equals, the actual equal sign that we are dealing with. This sign shows that it is not equal. In other words, variable m is equal to variable n. But when you see this exclamation mark with the equal sign, it shows that m is not equal to the variable n. Then the greater than sign is m is greater than n, m is less than n, m is greater than or is equal to n, and m is less than or equals to n. So let's take a look at these examples too, how they work. So I'm just creating another file and I'll call them comparison operators. So we're running another set of code here. So let's comment comparison operators. Right. So let's say we declare a variable and that variable is 10. And we declare another variable and that one is also 15. Now we want to determine if this is true or not. Now if we say x, so let's print this. We want to print and see if it is true or false. If we say x is the same as y, what will be the result? We are going to print x is equals to y and see what the result will be. Remember, this is a new file, so we click on this, run again. So we are running comparison. It says that the statement is false because x is 10 and y is 15 and they are not the same, so this means they are equal. Okay, so this shows that they are not the same. So when we get false, it means that it is not true. Okay, so there are two. This is like a boolean form of a question. It gives you only two values, either true or false, on or off, 0 or 1. So if it says false, it's 0. If it says true, it is 1. Okay, so let's work on it. Let's check on the not equal. So let's check on not equal. Not equal, we use exclamation in this one. So I'm going to use the same values here and do that so that we just continue there. So let's say print x is not equal to y and see if it is true or false. Is it true that x is not the same as y? Let's see. The first says true, that is this one. The first one says it's false because they are not the same. But the other one says it's true because yes, it's true that 10 is not the same as 15. Right, so let's move on to the next one again. We're going to look at greater than. Okay, greater than. So let's print. Let's say x is greater than y and see if it is true or not. So print. It says it's false because x, which is 10, is not greater than 15. Moving on to less than. So we print x is less than y and see if that is true or false. So print, and that is true because actually x is less than that. Let's go on to the next one here, which is the greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. So say greater than or equal to. So we print x. You do the operator, then you bring the equal, then y. So this is how we run this one. So let's run this and see. It says it's false. So it is greater than, that is false. It is less than also, it is equal to, that is also false. Okay, so all these things run false. Finally, we look at less than or equal to. So print x less than or equals to y. Let's run that also. And the last one says it's true. It's true that 10 is less than 15 But even though it is not equal to 15, but since one of them is true, then actually it is true. So that is how we run it. Alright, so that is how to do the comparison operators, right? Let's go on. Now we have the logical operators. Now logical operators are used to combine conditional statements and return a result as either true or false. Conditional statement has to do with if, or maybe if, like it's a condition that you are putting there. If something happened, then the other one should do. Now there are three of them. We have and, or, and then not. Now let's say m is less than 5 and m is less than 10. Now it returns true if both statements are the same. So if actually m is less than 5 and n is also less than 5, m is also less than 10, then it means that the statement is true. So let's quickly run some codes and see. So I'll quickly create a file and call it logical operators. So let me zoom this one as well. So we're dealing with logical operators, right? So looking at this one, let's see what example we can use. Let's declare m to be 10 and declare n to be 20. So if we do this way, we can say that m is, let me see what we can do to make it so simple for us. Okay, let's see. Okay, m, let's print, or let me get a result. The result equal to, then I'll put the work here so that when we finish we'll print the result and see. I want to see that m, so the first thing we're going to look at is the end. M is less than n, and so that's n. M is greater than n. So I'm putting two conditions here. I am saying it is less than that or it is greater than that. Okay. Let me quickly get. Let me change this example. So I want to get something straightforward that wouldn't give us make it complex for us. So let's say print. Just going straight. A. Let's use A. Is less than 5 and A is less than 5. Before that, we have to declare A. Let's give A a certain number. Let's say is maybe 6. I'll make here 8. So let's print this one. So I'll run and run again. So I'm running logical operators. So it is false. Now with this one, it will return true if both statements are true. So it says that A is less than 5 and A is less than 8. Yes, it's true that A is less than 8 here because A is 6 here, and it is less than 8. That's true. But this is not true because A is not less than 5 here because 6 is not less than 5. So both have to be true. So to do this, you can turn this one like this. If you want both to be true, you can make it A is greater than 5 and A is less than 5. So both have to be true. If both are true, you get it to be true. But if one of them is false, then the other one also becomes false. Okay, so let's look at the OR operator. In this case, it returns true if one statement, only one statement is true. So if one statement is true, so let me say M equal 6, then we print m is less than 5 or m is less than 8. In this case, our statement is going to be true because one of them is actually true. When you come here, m is less than 5 is not true because 6 is not less than 5. But when we come here, m is less than 8. So it means m here is 8 is bigger than m. And since this place is true, then we will receive true. So in this case, we are receiving, let's run it again. So this is a true here because only one statement is true. Okay, so if only one statement is true, then it will give us a true what you call it outcome. Now let's look at the not operator. The not operator, it reverses the result. It will reverse the result and returns false if the result is true. So to run this, I can just say print, let me open bracket and put the not here, and then let me add another bracket inside. So a is less than 5, okay, and a is less than let me get another number, let me just say 10. But before that, let me declare a. Okay, a is already declared here. This a, we can use this one, or we can declare another a. Let me change a letter, let me change a different letter to be x, something different. Let me come here and put my x and give it a number. So let me say it is 7. So let's come to this one. X is less than 5. Is 7 less than 5? No. X is less than 10. Is 7 less than 10? Yes. So in this case, this statement will give us false. Now the not will give us a reverse of it. So when we run only this one, print only this one, it will give us false because when we use and, it's supposed to give us false because one of them is not true. It's only one part that is true. So when we're talking about and, it means both have to be true. Now that if we realize on this statement, we realize that one statement is wrong and it's supposed to give us false. However, when you run this thing, it is giving us true because of the not. So the not is to negate your statement. Your statement is supposed to be negative, which is false, but as you use the not, it is negating it. Let me run something before we come to that. Print, let me print only this one there. Let me print this. So I'm going to do two printing, okay? So I'm going to print this one first. It is going to give us false, but because we come here and put a not will reverse that outcome to another thing. So false and true. All right, so that is how it works. So this is basically how to do the logical operators. All right, on this note, I will just walk you through some other operators. We're just going to read their functions, and then I can prepare another lesson for you on those other operators. They are a little bit complex, but so I'll need to have create a new video on that one. So, and they are the bitwise operators. These operators are used to compare binary numbers. And we have the AND, the OR, this is how it is represented, and then the XOR. So this sets each bit to 1 if both bits are 1. This one also set the bit to 1 if one of 2 bits is 1. The XOR will also set each bit to 1 if only one of 2 bits is 1. Then this is more like the NOR, the not that we just did. It inverts all bits, and we have the 0 field left shift. So these are the bitwise operators. They are topic that we'll be creating. I'll create another lesson for you on this particular one. Then we also have the identity operators, and we use these quite often when we are creating our project, identity operators are used to compare the objects not if they are equal, but if they are actually the same object with the same memory location. Are you getting it? So it returns true if both variables are the same object. num1 is num2. If you say that, it will return true if they are all the same object, like they are holding the same thing. Okay, then it's not, so this will reverse the thing. It returns true if both variables are not the same. num1 is not num2. So but if you work and they are the same object, then the result will give you true, but if not, they will give you false. And finally, the membership operators, these are used to test if a sequence is presented in an object and we have it in, as in for loop and while loop. For loop, you see some of these things there. Then we have the not in. So it returns true if a sequence with a specified value is present in the object, and returns true if a sequence with the specified object value is not present in the object. So folks, this brings us to the end of our second lesson on operators. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. You can drop your comment on any part that you didn't understand, or if there are some errors that I made during the course of the lesson, you can put some comments so we can learn. This is how we get to learn and then improve on our skills. Thank you and stay safe. Bye for now.